Hey folks, Wrong Gamgee here. I just want to briefly announce that the Quick and Dirty RPG system is now available on DriveThruRPG for $4.99. That's almost a 40% price reduction from its original retail price of $8, which makes it easier for you to get a copy of my labor of love to the RPG hobby in your preferred devices. Also, don't forget to grab a copy of the Quick and Dirty character sheets and other profiles at a price of pay what you want. The links to both products are in the description. Now, onto the video. Greetings folks, this is Wrong Gamgee and welcome to Quick and Dirty Roleplaying. This video is part 4 of my discussion of how the EZD6 tabletop role-playing game is maximized for playability. If you haven't seen the previous 3 videos on this topic, go check those out if you want to hear my analysis on the core mechanics, combat, the rules for magic and miracles, and all aspects of character creation. Also, I wanted to make a correction pointed out to me from my previous video by Beyond Fantasy 4972 and confirmed by DM Scotty in the comments section. In that video, I stated that friars can attempt to call upon their gods to perform miracles. This ability is available to players with the devout inclination on any hero path, not just friars, and they call upon their patron deity, singular, to do so. Beyond Fantasy 4972 and DM Scotty, thank you for setting the record straight. Onto the video. Today I'll talk about the monster chapter of EZD6, which contains 20 classic monsters and 20 EZD6 monsters. One of the big concerns that I have when it comes to tabletop role-playing games is how involved the monster stat blocks are going to be and how helpful they'll be. Am I going to get a de facto character sheet with a monster stat block, or am I going to get just the details that I need to portray this monster as intended? More to the point, can I use the monster stat block without having to refer to other parts of the book because all the details are available to me? When I look at classic monster stat blocks in EZD6, I see the name, a concise description about it, how many strikes it has, what its to-hit number is on a d6 roll, and the most relevant details I need to run it in combat in bullet point format, similar to the hero path. For EZD6's unique monsters, there's a short background origin and more details about its appearance, its composition, its mannerisms, and its tactics. Stuff that will be perceived by the heroes. When I see EZD6 stat blocks, they remind me of Dungeon World monster stat blocks. Concise, relevant, and self-contained, which is just what a rabble-rouser needs in order to focus on the group and the unfolding narrative at the table. Due to EZD6's lean design, monster traits vary widely in a way that not only provides neat deviations from how the PCs mechanically work, neat for the rabble-rouser, not so much for the pushers and shovers, but they also make sense within the monster's theme. For example, grubbers are 1-foot-tall insectoids that travel in swarms. As such, they cannot be crit, nor can they inflict a crit. Because they're a swarm, they have an easier time of landing a hit. They can hit the PCs on a 2+ rather than a 3+. GURPS 4th edition did something similar with swarms, where they only took 1 point of damage from conventional attacks and had to be hit with area attacks in order to deal normal damage. As far as the number of strikes are concerned, the monsters presented have anywhere from 1 strike for critter-sized creatures to 25 strikes or more for colossal or overpowering entities such as great worm dragons and greater demons. Though those are probably the only 2 that have 20+ strikes. This seems to suggest that a creature's strike pool is largely a function of size and toughness, which seems kind of obvious when pointed out, but is still important to point out from a design perspective. To-hit numbers also fall within the 2 to 5 range, with a 2-hit number of 6 being exclusive to this doughy-eyed squirrel called the Greeblix, which makes me think of metal slimes from the Dragon Quest video game series. Small hit point pool, but incredibly hard to hit. Don't attack the Greeblix though, or else you're a bad person. The meat and potatoes of the majority of monsters here, however, are not in their strike pool and 2-hit numbers, but in the details, in the bullet points, and in the description. Monsters are not simply fodder for the PCs to hack their way through. They're part of the world in ways for characters to discover. Even if they're effectively mindless automatons, someone or something put them there for a purpose, even if that purpose is no longer relevant. Antagonists are not limited to the monster section of the book. NPCs can also take on hero paths, just like the PCs, but work against them, being pushers and shovers in their own right, and with no extra legwork necessary on the part of the rabble-rouser to implement them in their prep. Just use them as is. One major thing to point out is that monsters and enemies don't get armor saves to negate strikes. This is done to keep things moving quickly, so they get more strikes to compensate when they need to be powered up due to being armored and or having a leadership rank. This part is actually found on page 55 of the rabble-rousing chapter, but it's worth mentioning here due to its relevance to the topic of monsters. Having monsters be more beefy instead of more evasive seems to allow players to employ critical hits more often, which feels good when you pop off like that. Even for monsters that are harder to land a damaging blow on, that's when karma mechanics come into play, especially for characters with the victory and failure inclination, which nets them 2 karma on a failed roll instead of 1. Also, rolling armor saves for monsters not only feels crappy for the players, it also extends combat that much longer and would probably lose its on the edge of your seat tension that's intended exclusively for players to see whether or not they save their own skin. Still, having a fight against other NPCs that operate like the players would be a pretty neat experiment for the rabble-rouser to throw at them every now and then. And this is me speaking from inexperienced speculation here. And that's pretty much all I have to say with regards to the monster section of EZD6. More to come. If you like or dislike anything in this video, please give it a like or dislike and leave a comment, keeping it respectful and relevant. Subscribe if you want to support my channel, and if you really want to support my endeavors, head over to my Patreon and become a member. The link is in the description. Until then, folks, take care and play to find out what happens.